Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got a combo that I'm really excited to see how it performs. I've seen a few requests for this choke, and I've seen even more requests over the last, 6 months or so for this particular brand of shells, so I'm definitely excited to see what it can do, especially since one of you guys sent me some of these. But as for the load we're going to run today, massive thank you to Adam from Texas for sending some of these over. He actually surprised me and sent me a big box full of a variety of stuff that I've seen a ton of requests for as well. So it's going to take a while, but we're going to work through them all and see what they can give us. Because he sent turkey, buckshot, slugs, all of it. But for the loads we got today, I brought out some of the Rio Turkey Magnum 50 shells. They are a 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of lead 5s, moving about 1260 feet per second. I've had a number of requests for Rio shells across the board, turkey, buckshot, all of it. So we'll see what the turkey loads can actually do, since they are a pretty basic loaded shell and really not super expensive for a box of 10 of them. But here's what one of those shells looks like. Not really anything too special from the outside. They don't appear to have any buffer material, and they're definitely not copper plated pellets, but they may be some sort of nickel plating, basic crimp on the front. So nothing too fancy about them, but we'll see what they can do. But for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. This one's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, we've got the Primos Jellyhead 690 in the gun today. I've seen several requests or questions about how this choke performs, and I don't think we've ever tried a pretty cheap basic load through it like these Rios are. So we'll see what this combo can actually give us. But for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target, take our shot, and see what these Rio Magnum 50 turkey shells can actually give us through this Jellyhead 690. Could be good, could be a little disappointing for a cheap load. I don't know yet. I've never tested any of them. So let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1378 through the chrono. The boss claim is only 1260, and these were very snappy in the recoil department, so I tend to probably believe that based on what it sounded like and what I felt. If that's a true reading there, then we are over 100 feet per second above their claim, and that's getting up and moving on out pretty good for a lead 5. But how did they actually pattern? Let's head down to our target and check it out. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and initially, this is probably about what I expected to see out of these shells through this combination. Do we have a dead turkey out at 40 yards? Yes, we do. There are multiple of them down the spine there that would have absolutely gotten the job done, and there's nowhere left, right, up or down that bird could move to and get away from you. So, is this a 40-yard capable pattern? Yes, it is. However, looking at the entire thing, it is definitely nothing I would call impressive either. It is good enough to do the job, and this particular pattern would be a decent kind of all-around performer where you could turkey hunt with it, you could do any other kind of wing shooting with it. It's a pretty nice and even spread of pellets. You could have it as some sort of a property load for, groundhogs or other varmints or creatures, raccoons, whatever, getting into the chickens. That would be a decent all-around load, but definitely not a very specific ultimate ideal turkey combination. If we move in here and look at our core, we might have favored just a touch to the left, but it really doesn't matter on this pattern. We really don't have any kind of noticeable core area. It's just kind of an even spread of pellets. There might be one little bit of a void right on the edge of the paper, right in front of that bird's neck area in the center of the screen, but it's nothing too major, definitely nothing big enough for him to get through. And the farther we go out, it pretty much just stays the same. Just a relatively even spread of pellets. There might be a few voids once you get all the way to the outer edges of the pattern, but still, it's just kind of a broad area of shot across the paper more than anything else. We covered a decent majority of the paper, but we really didn't favor a bunch of pellets to one side necessarily, or throw a bunch of stringy stuff anywhere. So I would say we have a decent starting point with these shells to work off of. I don't expect to get any super ultra impressive patterns from them, to be honest, especially with the wad they have in them, which we'll take a look at here in a second. Essentially, I think these are kind of just a general Magnum field load that would probably do just fine for about anything you would use your typical 3-inch lead 5 type of shell for. Now, can we throw them through one of my Remington shotguns or something that isn't overboard like that 835 and maybe run them through a little tighter choke? 660, 655, somewhere in there, and squeeze a little more out of them? Potentially so. I just don't know how much we're going to be able to get since they don't have any buffer material and they have a pretty poor wad for an actual turkey shell. Overall, I don't think it did anything too impressive, but it's definitely not the worst we've seen either. It's not condensed down like a typical high performance turkey shell would, but if you were on a budget and happened to see these shells on the shelf, I think they're typically under $10 a box, usually anyway, and you wanted a cheap option that wouldn't win any pattern test competitions, but would get you a turkey out to 40, that's going to do the job, and it's going to give you a little more breathing room at close range as well. So not horrible, but not impressive, and I think it did about what I expected it to overall. And here's the wad from that shell. Immediately, you can tell it's just a field or target style wad. It is definitely not full length or anything. You can see there's my thumb width, for example. Just your very basic standard style 12 gauge wad, and it's not a turkey wad or anything like that. They can give some pretty nice even spreads of pellets like we saw here on the paper, but they're not great for actually condensing them down into a nice hot core area or anything like that. Overall, I mean, it's not damaged or torn up or anything. It looks very much normal, but if this was actually a full length, little more turkey style wad, then we might be able to squeeze a little more performance out of these. But with this wad, it might just be a little bit of a field load more than actually tightening that pattern down and giving us a turkey pattern. So nothing special to see here, but I do wish it wasn't one of these just basic field style wads. Alright y'all, well, what do you think about that performance right there? At this point, I think we've pretty well covered it. It would do the job if it's what you had out to 40 yards, but it's not impressive. We've seen the same and potentially even a little bit better results out of just your basic Winchester field loads as well. So ultimately, that's probably about what I expected out of these. They don't have any buffer material. If they are plated, it might be a nickel plating or something. Definitely not any kind of special copper plating. And with that field wad, it's just not going to be a super ultra high performance turkey load. Can we get a little better out of it? Maybe a little tighter pattern? Going to a tighter choke? Potentially so. Maybe we can dial these in a little bit more for the person that wants a little more breathing room in their pattern. If we can condense that down just a little bit farther than that, then it would be a perfectly solid usable turkey pattern. But as it stands right now, they're just a cheap lead number 5 type of shell. So I think we need to do some more testing with them and just see what we might be capable of getting out of them. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Rio turkey shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or combo you would ever take out on a turkey hunt? Or would you just prefer to see it condensed down more than that? What would you use these shells for if this is the combo you had? And what other setups do you want to see us run those loads through that you think we might be able to squeeze a little more performance out of? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.